these districts that are drawn to be incredibly ruby red, where you are definitely going to have to be running actual general election campaigns against Democrats. And McConnell is making a very clear calculation that he believes that Trump is not the way forward. And it's for all the reasons I think that Charlie just described, which is that, the suburban problem for the Republican Party is one that will be very much felt by the Senate candidates who are going up for re-election in 2 years and in 4 years. And McConnell is making a clear statement that he thinks that Trump is disastrous for that. He has some reason to believe that because they lost 2 seats just a few weeks ago in Georgia.
Abby, Phillip, Charlie Dent, guys, thank you very much. There's more breaking news coming up. NASA's Perseverance rover has just landed on Mars to search for signs of past life. Plus, he was an early hero of the pandemic. So why is the New York governor, Andrew Cuomo, now coming under increasing attack? We just witnessed a truly incredible achievement for science and space exploration. Perseverance, NASA's most technologically advanced Mars rover in history, just touched down on the red planet after a harrowing descent through the Martian atmosphere.
Touchdown confirmed. Perseverance safely on the surface of Mars, ready to begin seeking the signs of past life. At this point, the descent stage has flown away to a safe distance. Perseverance is continuing to transmit direct through Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter to Earth.
All right, let's bring in our CNN aviation analyst, Miles O'Brien. Miles, this was amazing to see. Just how big of an accomplishment is this landing?
Wolf, it was by far the most complex landing that NASA has ever tried on the red planet. Very rugged terrain. And historically, there's always a tug of war between the scientists that want to go to the rugged terrain because that's where the interesting rocks are, and the engineers who'd prefer to pick a veritable parking lot where it's easy to land. But they pulled it off using some additional technology this go-round. Wolf, they are 5 for 5 attempts at landing rovers on Mars since 1997. It's truly remarkable. And I should remind everybody out there, this actually is rocket science.
It certainly is. This rover called Perseverance, Miles, will be looking for signs of past life on Mars. Tell us about that.
Well, we're looking for the ancient remnants of what was a warm, shallow sea in that location, this Jezero crater. The hope is, when we look at rocks that age on this planet, there are a bunch of them in Australia, as a matter of fact. When we look at them, there's telltale signs of biological organic life. And if Perseverance happens upon similar patterns, that will get those scientists pretty excited. They'll do some drilling, do some photo taking, they'll do some science on board Perseverance, but this is the first step in a very complex, long-sought sample return mission. Perseverance will leave about 20 samples on the surface of Mars. A future mission, a retriever rover, will come and get it in future years, bring it back to Earth, and maybe then, at long last, we'll finally have an answer on the question of whether there was life on Mars.
Will this put us any closer to actually sending humans to Mars?
It's all intertwined, Wolf. First of all, there's the technical accomplishment of getting this big device, big, about the size of an SUV, onto the surface. That's a big challenge. But on top of that, part of the reason to send human beings is that an astronaut with a pickaxe and a magnifying glass can do an awful lot more science in a fraction of the time that Perseverance can do its job as good as it is. So we'll see where this leads.
Miles O'Brien, as usual, thanks very, very much. There's other important news we're following. The New York governor, Andrew Cuomo, is coming under increasing fire amid a growing controversy over his handling of the coronavirus pandemic. Not that long after many actually saw him as a hero of the crisis. CNN's Brian Todd is working the story for us. Brian, Governor Cuomo is facing new allegations of a cover-up and of threatening behavior.
Right on both counts, Wolf. Governor Cuomo now facing the possibility of increased scrutiny from the federal government over his handling of the pandemic. But what it's really boiled down to at this point is a classic New York political melee. Tonight, Andrew Cuomo's latest political battle has gotten intensely personal, with new accusations of intimidation against the New York governor.
That's classic Andrew Cuomo. A lot of people in New York State have received those phone calls. The bullying is nothing new. The threats, the belittling, the demand that someone change their statement right that moment, many, many times I've heard that, and I know a lot of other people in this state have heard that.
The comments to MSNBC by New York Mayor Bill de Blasio, who's had a long-standing contentious relationship with Governor Cuomo, refer to a call Cuomo made recently to New York State Assemblyman Ron Kim. Kim, who's criticized Cuomo over a controversy involving nursing home deaths from COVID, says Cuomo threatened to destroy his career.
Berating, yelling, and threatening that I have to issue a statement that invalidated what I heard. He asked me to lie to cover up for his staff. And this was done in front of my family. He called me. My wife was right next to me. I was right about to bathe my kids. And it really just put my family and my wife into shock and trauma.
Cuomo's office tells CNN Kim is lying about the conversation, that there was never a threat to destroy anyone. Cuomo and his aides say Kim's accusations stem from their history.
I've had my office, more than me, has had a long and hostile relationship with Assemblyman Ron Kim.
This New York-style political brawl stems from backlash Cuomo is getting over his handling of the pandemic. A law enforcement official tells CNN the U.S. Attorney's Office in Brooklyn and the FBI are looking at the handling of data surrounding COVID-19 deaths in long-term care facilities in New York. This comes after a top aide to Governor Cuomo admitted to state lawmakers that his administration delayed the release of that nursing home information because they were concerned the Trump administration would turn it into a political football. It's not clear whether federal investigators are looking at Cuomo himself. Cuomo's office says it is cooperating with the Justice Department, and Cuomo addressed the crisis this week.
These decisions are not political decisions. They're all made on the best information the medical professionals have at the time.
A far cry from those dark, early days of America's battle with coronavirus, when Cuomo was looked on as a true national leader. You guys need a hand? At a time few others were. One analyst says Cuomo still enjoys high favorability ratings for his handling of the pandemic, but
this is certainly among the biggest political crises that the governor has faced since he's come into office, if not the biggest. And, the difference here is the attention that he's getting.
Asked by CNN to comment on his remark, on Mayor Bill de Blasio's remark that he is a bully, Governor Cuomo's office did not respond specifically to that, but did send us an email saying that Assemblyman Ron Kim is, quote, unscrupulous. Meanwhile, some New York lawmakers are looking to strip Governor Cuomo of his expanded emergency powers. And in Washington, some Republican senators are calling on the Senate Judiciary Committee to investigate the nursing home controversy. Wolf?
All right, Brian, thank you very much. Brian Todd reporting. There's more breaking news we're following. The Texas governor signs a major disaster declaration as his state reels from severe winter weather that's triggered a power and water crisis. And tonight, there's another storm on the way.